10 years to push them back, but we did. What was once a prosperous river trade, the Mississippi, is now the front line. The eastern states supply the river states, and what's left of the UA live out their meager days self-policing. What is the West hiding? Nobody really knows for sure. But we're alive. And this is the new frontier.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of We're Live Frontier. The siege continues, and our 6 recently reunited survivors have now found themselves inside of the Capitol building of the district of Old Jefferson in the city of Osage. Kalarm and his forces are currently sitting outside, and you're still dealing with a 80 men kind of siege situation here. Now, you yourself have almost double that, 150. But unlike Kalarm's folks, you are mostly dealing with simple weapons and tattered civilian clothes. As far as Kalarm is concerned, he has access to all the food. He does not need to leave or do anything other than just wait you out. So, what's it gonna be, survivors?
We're gonna take, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we're gonna take at least 3 days to properly heal, make sure everyone is rested, and we're also gonna go with Pony's idea of basically tricking them to come in.
And rigging.
We're gonna have some traps set, and we're gonna kill some people.
All right. So you're gonna take 3 days to
Rig the
Prepare
shit
the
out
building
of
for
Right.
hall-to-hall, room-to-room guerrilla warfare.
So for healing stuff, since I can try checks multiple times during the day, would this be something that I could do at like a take 10?
I would probably roll up how much depletion you would accumulate for each one of the die results that you take off.
Okay.
You know?
So for instance, this kit right now is at 2 depletion.
Right.
And if I say I want to take that 4 pip off,
Right.
I would just roll depletion.
Roll depletion on it.
Okay.
And then essentially see
how
if it
long
runs
it-
out, and then you would move along until either they're all gone or you've run out.
So you've got those 2 injuries.
Right.
Do you still have an injury, Wraith, with pips on it?
Clear.
I do not.
She's 1 dice with a 2 result.
Okay, so I'm going to get rid of that 5
Okay.
on there. And I rolled a 3, so I'm not at 10 yet.
Nope.
So I'm going to add a 3rd die. I'm going to take off the 4 of the gut wound.
Ooh.
So that would have spent the first aid kit.
Got it.
So I'll put that down, but then I'll resupply with the infirmary.
With the infirmary.
And
which
what
I
is-
will roll depletion
Okay,
for that.
thank you.
All right.
But this starts me off at 1 depletion again.
It starts you off, you'll heal, and then you'll roll 1.
Okay. The 3 of us bring in 17 survival points that we had in our
Correct.
party.
Right, so
Good
that's
call.
right. Actually, that would be the best way to purchase the extra supplies
Cool.
Fair point.
from it. You do have 17 survival points that you brought in because our group beforehand went down to 0. This 80 is still just representing the amount of people that are currently assaulting you at this stage. You do have 17 to work with. We did designate that the whole group ran out of ammo, but I would say 5 to restock and basically get extra supplies at a capacity of 10 is probably a fair spend.
Yeah, let's do it. So we're down to 12.
12.
12?
And do you want to just use that same card of your extra supplies and just bring the capacity back up to 10?
That's what I'm doing.
Roll the capacity of the extra supplies.
4 for the flesh wound of your face. And we're good. And so that is gone. You're beautiful, Kitty.
You were beautiful the entire time.
Now, are you going to finish ponies?
I am.
Okay.
So I'm going to take the 2 pip off of there, roll depletion, and I got a 7, so it's not run out yet.
Not run out.
So with the supplies that we find and with the help of other people, because we did find that there were other people within the militia that had medical training, I'm able to finally, and now that my shoulder is fixed for the
Feeling
most part,
better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm able to really concentrate. I have got quiet, I've got lights, I've got the supplies, and so I'm able to, essentially, your vision is totally saved. You still have some scarring, but it's going to look real cool.
I love it.
And the gut wound, I've been checking for signs of infection and things like that, and it just looks so promising. So it's actually starting to heal up on its own, and the need for bandages has gone down significantly because we're not constantly changing them. And I've pretty much shackled you to this cot. Pony, you've been visiting the infirmary that I've set up, and I'm able to just quickly stitch up your wound. Like, you were holding gauze to it before, and that has clotted the blood, but it really needed just one quick stitch to put the flesh back together and let it knit on its own. So that's where that is.
I'm going to see if the resource catalog that would have this supply to see if you've run out.
Oh,
okay.
I rolled a 14,
I'll gather
14
some
and
honey in the
19,
fields.
a 24,
Is it exploding?
25.
Get that out of your system now, though.
Yeah.
We're good.
That's
yeah,
fine.
no, that's yeah.
So
No,
it's
but
just
those
no.
up.
medical
You have
supplies are-
used up every possible medical supply that
To
could be
restock.
in this building is now represented on that card. You cannot pull anything more from this place.
medical.
Medical.
Cool. But regardless, I'm treating these injuries and then I'm setting up like a triage unit in this space. So it's known throughout with the militia, if anybody gets injured, this is the place to send them.
And that's how you're spending your 3 days.
Yeah.
Jenny.
Yes.
How are you spending these 3 days?
So I'm gonna be a busy little bee. I'm gonna be building traps,
Okay.
and then I'm also going to be training some of the militia in just some simple brawl tactics, just things to get the upper hand. I'm also going to try and win them over. I want to form these friendships.
You want to be the leader
Well,
that you've been laid out, or
I want to know, because if we're gonna send some people over to pretend to be pretend to defect, I
see.
want their loyalty, and so I'm working on
figuring out who those people
getting
are.
to know them.
And then we can go into your trap construction. I would like to hear very much specifics on what these traps look and feel and
Great.
sound like.
Am I doing detect motive first?
Yeah, let's do that first. Let's get that out of the way.
Okay. Okay. Well.
I'm actually, for my action, I think a lot of what you're doing is stuff that I would be doing too. So
Okay.
maybe I'm helping you with the
Okay.
training and the traps.
Because there's 2 degrees of failure for detect motive.
Okay. Well, that's fine. Then hold on to those failures for the moment, since Wraith will be. Then hold on. To those.
Welcome to my world.
And then we will talk about it when we get to Wraith as that part of that. So now let's move on to your traps.
I think I kind of want to dig so I don't know, dig some pits and stick some sharp, pointy things.
That
in
would be nice
there.
if you were outside.
Right?
But
Is
this
it hard
is
to
a
dig? Okay.
tile, maybe even stone floor.
You can do things like have things rigged to a door, like when they come through a door.
I mean, also
something
straight up trip wires too, things they can trip on.
Yeah,
Trip
go,
wires are simple.
Yeah.
That's
Like
fine.
paint cans, like spike things that shoot out
go
and stuff.
full
Right.
Christmas movie Kevin.
Absolutely, yeah. That may seem a little childish, but hey, they could totally
We'll
help.
slow them down.
So I've heard the trip lines.
Together, I might have some ideas. For
Then let's
some
roll
traps, too.
construction engineer. Let's
Okay.
make that. Let's make that as part of it, because you're going to use some of the resources. It's going to cost you survival points as well to pull the resources you need to make these traps. How'd you do on your success?
Good. I got 1 degree of success for
Okay.
the engineering. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna spend another competence for that.
All right. So you're going to spend 2, which will, I say, give you 2 different types of traps set throughout the building. 1, we've established is tripwire.
How many of our people are any of our people armed with guns or anything like that, or any kind of range?
Everyone has
weapons?
guns. No one has ammo. We ran out of ammo at the first part of the siege.
Gotcha. So not useful to be training them in
Firearms,
shooting, in firearms.
That's what I'm going to be doing, is making sure that people know what to do.
Okay.
Go here and do this.
And obviously, I'm going to keep check because I'm so, once again, happy to be back with the gang.
You just want to soak up all
I just
of
want to
that
be
energy.
around them as much
Yeah.
as physically possible. So
While
if there's
you're-
anything I
while
can do
you're-
helping them and helping, and finding out who this cat is, this really tall dude.
Yeah, makes sense.
Very tall.
And if Chateau, just to get an insight on what you're doing, if you're talking about training people for formations, that's totally fine.
Right.
Yeah.
And
she can
trying
totally
to keep
help
their
in that.
spirits high also, but
Yeah,
very
yeah,
much
yeah.
knowing it's all right, that door's going to open, hit there, then move here, then,
Right.
yeah.
Spirits high, but not high.
Yeah.
mean, maybe we got some time.
And also trying to, like Jenny's doing, like trying to boost spirits and everything. Like I'm feeling certainly like I'm fucking high on life now because I'm with my
That's
people
important.
again.
The morale of this place is low. It's at 30 right now. So for the three of you who are attempting to do that, we can work a little bit of morale into that situation. Wraith.
All right, so Jenny and Wraith are working on training these people to defend themselves a little bit better. What we're trying to teach them is not to just try to go out in a blaze of glory, like to just fight as dirty as possible.
Got it.
So I'm showing them how to like attack people's vitals.
Yeah.
Just
yeah.
get all the honor out of them and really make them into, you know. I probably actually kind of scare them a little bit with how like
Specifically disgusting.
specifically brutal tactics to use against people.
Mental tactics.
Yes, very
Metal.
And then when it comes to the traps, one of the things I want to do is I think I'm going to try to go to some of there's wooden paneling in this government building.
Right.
So any areas that there are staircases, like short staircases,
Yeah.
I've torn up enough paneling to cover the steps. So it is an angled surface instead of steps. And then if I can find any sort of grease or butter or anything like that.
Yeah.
Butter? What are we? A
Oh,
child
sorry.
emperor?
Sorry.
Butter, please.
Yeah, if I can find anything slippery, guys trying to get up these angled surfaces,
that's good.
it's
That's
going to
good.
make it a lot easier for us to pick them off, and it'll slow them down.
And it makes it funnier for day-to-day life with people just carrying stuff and slipping and falling.
Well, what we're going to do is we leave one set of planks out down the center or down the side, and then right before we're ready to do the siege, that's when we just finish that off.
Right.
My other idea was there are some side rooms and things that have hallways in them and things like that. If there are any areas where there are hallways and there's access to either side, I wanted to basically use like a small hand drill or whatever tool is useful to make some small like murder holes and instruct.
Sorry.
Yeah. just watch it. Murder.
Yeah.
Murder.
Yeah, and instruct the people with these sort of long, sharpened sticks or whatever that when the bad guys get funneled into this hallway, just start stabbing through the holes.
I'm fine to keep it going, but what I would love for the engineering check to be is for how durable and how structurally sound these traps are as well, too.
Okay, that's not great.
Here's a better thing to do. I've got a better idea, because remember, failures isn't about necessarily all the stuff, it can also be time as well. All right? So you are putting these together, but it's taking a lot longer than you had hoped for. You were only able to get so you had big plans to do all of these rooms, right? You're maybe able in the course of the 2 or 3 days there are 3 days that this planned siege is going to start, you maybe get 1 or 2 done, tops. You know what I mean?
Well, hopefully I focused on the most important areas
You would.
first.
You would have, absolutely.
Those just took a lot longer.
They just took way longer than you thought they were going to.
So, my plan with this proposal from the beginning is about luring the maximum number of people into the most dangerous place. As we have concurred, it is most likely that he will send his weakest troops first. My proposal is that we put our weapon of mass destruction not on the first floor, but on the second, so that the first will come in. They will explore the first floor. We will have no men on the first floor. We will have the slippery floors. We will maybe have some of the tripwires with some things. What they will discover is the stairway to the second floor, where inevitably we must be. When they come up the stairs, they will begin to explore. We will leave enough debris to channel them in one particular direction.
So you're gonna
when the
basically
more
funnel it.
elite forces pass through that funnel, we will have our propane rigged to explode behind them, so that maybe some of them, maybe it collapses the floor underneath them, maybe some of them fall down, but most importantly, no more will be able to come up and join us. We will be able to destroy them, and then we will continue to have the high vantage on any further incoming troops.
So if I hear correctly, you want to rig the propane tank above the main floor.
Yes.
So that it collapses the ceiling down on top of them, creating debris and potentially injuring all the
More
elite
than
forces.
collapses the ceiling, collapses the floor
From floor
underneath.
It, yes. So since this trap does not involve additional resources that sound like you have to pull from the strongholds, this is about placement of the tank. We will put that as part of a stronghold upgrade as well. You're drilling the troops?
Yeah, but like trying to keep morale high and like. I mean,
drilling them.
we gotta
and
repopulate the earth, baby.
Drilling them for formations.
Yes, but I mean, at
Which
least
formation would you like to drill them for?
the plan is we need to make this as convincing as possible. So I'm looking for the youngest people. Because those are going to be the ones when we need to make it seem like somebody's running. I want the young ones to go because they're most likely to live through this.
Got it. But what type of formation?
Like phalanx or...
Phalanx, shield wall, like
They
how
don't
are...
have shield. The assassination squad, if you're talking about this thing in here.
Sure, yeah.
Well, yeah.
So assassination squad.
Yeah, assassination squad is not predicated on firearms. So yes, I will teach them assassination squad.
Great. So you will basically drill them in the formation of assassination squad. Here's where you go. Here's how you take advantage of the situation. Just by putting these stronghold upgrades, you are building hope. So I think it is appropriate to raise the morale of this building up to, say, 40.
Thank you. Because it's like, hey, we outnumber them.
Yeah.
They're scared. That's why they're not even trying to come in
We
here.
got a plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you have all declared how you're going to be spending the next 3 days. It's a lot of work. You're setting up trip wires, you're placing ramps, you have murder holes being dug, and there's a propane bomb that needs to be placed. You are essentially training a set of troops in order to specify very specific tactical elements, presumably an assassination squad, potentially, should Kalarm show his face. At the same time, you've also taken time to patch everybody up over the course of the 3 days.
Cure moderate wounds.
Glug, glug, glug.
One thing I forgot was I wanted to see if I could get some more arrows.
Oh, make more arrows.
Yeah. Okay.
So let's say for every 1 survival point you spend, I will roll D3 arrows.
Okay.
We can do 11.
That's a tough ratio, though.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, there's a limit, and even in a long combat, I'm probably not going to need. I have, I think, 4 arrows left now. I mean, I'd love to have 10 again. I'd like to try to get another 6. So
Sure. How many do you want to spend?
let's spend 3 survival points.
3 survival points. So that will take you down to 8. And let's see how them bones roll.
What do exploding?
What do exploding ones?
They're pretty.
Are
They
the
will
three?
explode for you.
They will?
The arrows will?
We do have science.
So you're looking at 12 plus 7. That's 19 arrows. Wraith and his group of hunters have been little busy bees whittling away, probably taking small pieces of cloth and trying to do your best to make fletchings out of them. Around the twilight hour of the 3rd day, you hear your scouts yell out, "Something's approaching! Someone's coming out of the trees!" And you all run up to where you can get the...
Carefully.
Carefully, running up to where you can get the best vantage point and be able to see, or you go and peer out through the windows in the various parts, and you can see that some of Kalarm's men are pulling what seems to be a small wheeled contraption that is being pulled through, and you can see several men are kind of like dragging it across, and you look down, and it's hard to tell because you can only see the wheels through the trees, but you can definitely see it's a large form that's being pulled up, but it's being obscured by a lot of the fruit trees that are on the other side of the road leading into the Capitol building.
So I call whomever is close enough to hear me in a hushed whisper and call out, "It's time to change the story. Instead of sending people out who act as if they're looking for food, we need to send people out as if they're panicked defectors. They don't want to go to battle again, and they are who leave the door open."
I've already picked the young ones.
You've picked the young ones, and you've told them the story.
I mean, we can tell them the new story.
And you've told them the new story.
So again, to be clear, are we saying we're clearing the first floor? We're not even going to put assemblage of a fight where we fall back? Because that seems more trappy to me than at least if we put up a show of a fight on the first floor, fall back to the second floor.
If you think we can spare men, because we will lose some on that first floor before the fall back, then fine.
Whang! You hear as something snaps and you hear a wet and sickening thwack, and you hear a sickening crunch as if someone just threw a head of cabbage against the wall. Just you hear a sickening splat as as something falls down onto the ground.
They're sending back the hostages. Deploy the young ones. What's gonna happen now.
They could be infected. They could be shooting infected.
It sounds like you're not peering out to confirm what it is or anything, that's fine. But you fling the doors open and you send your young ones as they run. What?
It was the back door. The back.
You run that as you open the back door as you send them out. Kalarm and his troop are through the front in the moment. People start coming around and you see them kind of scatter as they are coming around the side. And first you hear a series of gunshots for a second, and then it suddenly stops as the gunshots cease. And you hear some yelling, some screaming. You can't really tell if it's in pain or if it's fear or anguish or something, but you can hear yelling outside. Where would you like to be positioned in the giant building?
I need to be in a place to shoot. So back of the hallway.
Second floor, close together, where we can theoretically cover the steps and also can shoot down into the atrium.
Yes.
Great. And you do hear a door, toom, as the back door seems to have been opened, or at least it's been pushed open.
When I hear that, I cry out, "Breached! We've been breached!"
All right.
To further the room.
Well done. Well done.
You start to hear quickening footsteps. As this one flies through the whole portion of the breached pipe bomb strewn window, and you watch as some kind of tumbling, moving form just whacks against the back of the wall, and it breaks. You watch as it cracks the wall right behind it, and it slowly stumbles down, and you see a broken body just like completely in jumbled pieces as it just lays limply on the floor right inside of the room.
Is it anyone I recognize?
It's been so maimed and mutilated and tortured and beaten that you can't tell. Maybe it was a River Run member. Who knows who it was?
Stick to the plan.
Right. You hear as men do start to like fold their way into this center line, and you watch as they start to fan out into the atrium. They keep along the sides of the atrium as much as they can. And you're positioned up there. Who's positioned?
Yeah, I'm positioned,
You're positioned
gun
there, and you're
trained,
positioned
yes.
there. All right.
Because the plan is when they come up the steps, let them upstairs, then detonate the bomb.
Great. Okay. Well, you see at least six men come up in, and about half of them have guns.
Which, since this was your plan, you can detonate the bomb when you want.
Okay.
Yeah, you have it. You have the detonator.
You have the thermostat that is scavenged from rechargeable batteries that you've been able to use using a solar panel. It came on would have some of this stuff.
Bless you in
it's
your
by
mercy.
stage. So as you have the thermostat lined up, you know that it's ready to go when it reaches an appropriate time, because you can't detonate it remotely, yes, with it? Or is it just on a timer?
I think that was the
It's
intention.
like connecting a circuit.
Right, like hot wire.
I see. Okay,
Right.
so you have the cable run down, and then you just connect it.
Right. Plan B is shoot it.
Right.
Yeah,
Plan B
yeah.
is shoot it.
Right.
Fair
Dig
enough.
it. Sorry.
So you watch as 6 men start coming around. You blade the tripwire in the back as part of what it was.
It's all entrances, I thought.
We kind of rushed over that.
we wouldn't have booby-trapped the door. We
Yeah.
knew they were coming
Yeah,
in.
we want them.
Well, the tripwire, you would essentially have them covered on at least your major doors, or if not, the area as they're coming up as well too.
Right. We definitely didn't want it that first entrance that they're coming in, because we want them to come in.
Right.
Curveball. I don't mean to keep retconning it, but it actually makes sense to booby-trap even the one we let them in. It seems more realistic.
Right.
Yes,
Okay.
this
And
was-
you do
Plus, like, we
clearly
wanna
see
still
them
harm
Cool.
you.
as they walk through. They step over the tripwire. The guys with guns are in front, and they are holding and they are looking for positions, and then the melee guys with the riot guns, with the riot shields, the police shields, are standing alongside of them and looking towards the balconies as they're holding onto them with their other hand. So they're moving in pairs.
Great.
From upstairs, I just yell out.
Wait, do you want to yell out?
I mean, the whole point's to get them upstairs.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
all
the
right.
plan.
We want to start driving the elite
Yeah.
forces upstairs
Okay,
to see
all right,
the-
all right.
I just yell out, "Stand fast, you cowards! Don't give up already!"
All right, fair enough, and I will roll for that. and you'll kind of see them all look up, and you'll watch as a small, like, as a small burst of gunfire just kind of click, 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 like they shot where they heard, but didn't hit anything close to you. And you hear them kind of mumble and whisper to each other. You can see these guys are really, they're kind of holding on to it, but you can see that definitely the guys who are holding the guns, their hands are shaking as well too, as they're kind of holding on to this space. And they stay in the atrium and basically lock that position down. And you watch as more men start to kind of come in, as you can hear the shouts of, "Clear! Clear! Boss, I think they're upstairs." And you hear as the sounds of more steps come through as some of them and one of the pairs pair off and head over to the giant bronze doors and basically lift up and put down as he pushes open wide the main doors.
That makes me nervous.
So,
Well, I mean, that was
I mean,
kind
I
of
know.
the inevitable reaction.
I know. Doesn't make me nervous.
okay, cool. You hear another You hear another wet slap as something else falls apart, but this one... It's an impact, but it doesn't hit as hard as the last one did. As it steps up, it starts kind of clambering, moving around like a confused and terrified animal. It starts clambering around looking for doors as it now comes in through the main area where some of
through
your
the front
militia are
doors?
laid out. No, it's been
trebucheted
It's
up.
been trebucheted up into the second level, and
Okay.
it has landed. So, and you can hear it as it's starting to wham open doors as it's now moving
Can I
across.
see that, or do I hear it?
You hear it more than you see it, because none of you have said that you're in the pipe bomb room at all. You've just been hearing the sounds and impacts of this. So, what do you want to do?
I'm gonna try and get a sight line on where it is, because my weapon's quiet.
Close.
Okay.
Very close. It's basically right behind you, at least as far as the sound is. And you hear as the door opens, and you actually see the door fling open as the creature and kind of looks at you with its milky white eyes, and it just runs full tilt. Fire.
That is...
All right. Pow, pow, pow.
It is already wounded, right?
Trebuchet.
Yeah, I
It
think
had
so.
been trebucheted up
think it's
second
already
floor.
taken damage.
Yes.
Damage?
Please roll damage.
10, 15.
15? Mm-hmm. All right. This crossbow bolt just all the way down the hallway, and it enters into it and then exits right through it as the bolt continues its pathway down the hallway and sticks against the back wall.
Retrievable.
Don't touch that.
As it was running, it just collapsed and fell as it basically went right through.
Nicely done. Nicely done. Yeah, he'd like reload.
And you hear shouts of like, "I just heard it. They're upstairs, on the top of the atrium. Everyone up!" And you hear as people start running up the spiral staircase, and Kindling and Clear, you actually hear, you actually come across and you hear as you more see anyone that someone literally pops up to the highest of where they can see the top of that, since it's a spiral staircase, they basically get as high as it would be to where they can see the floor level, and you watch as they basically stick their gun out and they fire a small spray as they come across, and they spot at least 2 people on the atrium. So, because you're all positioned on the atrium,
Yeah, there's
right?
like 150 people here, so...
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So,
You're gonna spot someone.
2. What am I doing? 7. 12, 18. So you watch as at least 2 of your men who are a part of this, who just happen to be within this guy's line of sight, are just and just mowed down as they all scream, "Ah! Ah!" and then come down, and their simple weapons kind of clatter to the ground as everyone up on the top here starts just looking for cover, and people start falling up the stairs. It is now time for speed. It is now time. They are up. They can see you and your group. How this is going to pan out is whoever is going to basically wants to roll for the militia can.
I'll roll for them.
All right. And that will be who is essentially engaging as the forward assault force.
Am I rolling separate malicious speed, or will you just tell me when?
I'll tell you when the malicious speed goes. All right, so let's roll up all that are shooting at the active shooter. There's 2 right now to basically go across, because you have 2 sets of 2 coming up.
Just speed or everything, sorry.
Everything.
Thank you. About fucking time.
It's satisfying, isn't it?
For
now.
Is.
These are the things we're good at.
Yeah, right?
All right, speed. Chateau. 10. Bandit.
1.
17.
Ray.
21.
I'm at 9 speed.
Pony.
4.
4. Great. Band-Aid, you are up first.
Yeah. So within the room, I'm assuming prior to the night, we've been kind of packing everything up.
Yes.
So I'm just making sure that all of the supplies are mobile and
Yeah.
that I have everything
Got all the bug out bags.
everything on me. And then, are there any windows or anything in here? It's like boarded up.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So-
also keep in mind, too, that you have several people who probably were not deemed well for battle, whether they came up from Osage or not, even though they wanted to fight.
Yeah.
You have probably several people with you
Yeah.
who are just ready to go with you.
Right. So I'm going to rally them
Yeah.
to try to protect the door. If by some chance something comes through the door or the window, we're ready with simple weapons.
Okay.
And my pistol.
And your pistol. Pony.
I have 1 degree of failure.
Okay. How would you like to resolve it?
I got all excited about that first blast of fire, and I wanted to take that guy's eyes out, and instead it glanced just above him and shot some debris back in his direction without doing him any harm.
He basically got pelted on the back of his head. Okay. That's fine. Wraith.
I try to take a shot with my bow, and I got 3 failures.
Oh my. Okay.
So I'm basically going to say that my arrow was improperly made with the stuff I had.
Yeah.
And I miss and accidentally shoot one of our people.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair. I'll roll damage against them.
And I'm horrified that this has happened.
They're disabled. So they're basically out of combat for the session. You've critically wounded them. You basically hit them in the hip as they This friendly fire takes one of your own. So
Oh yeah, when do our folks go? I know
He's going to tell us.
Okay.
they go at 12. So as people are starting to charge the active shooter, people are excited. They see people up and they're gonna make a rush for it. But the active shooter fires. 17. As they maim and or injure 17 of your people.
That's 1 shooter?
The shooters. 2
Shooters.
shooters. They cut them like grass as they came down. Bodies now are essentially littering the floor as the screams of the wounded now start to penetrate your ears. Chateau.
So I saw the person that did this, right?
Yeah, he's one of the 2 that are sticking their head literally just enough that they can get the pistol. So they're basically using the floor as cover at the moment.
So he's gonna die a lot. When I see that happen, I just go, ah! Jesus Christ. No, he's a lot dead. So let's see. I'm just gonna roll 2 more, just to
Save that.
keep it simple. 32, 34, 37, 39, 42.
You stick him hard. It goes right into his neck.
I want it to take time. I want him to suffer.
Yeah, it goes through his neck. Just enough to get through, but you find a perfect how it's through literally like a guardrail that would be coming up from the top of these steps, and you manage to not only shoot through the guardrail, but then also get it right into his windpipe as it and he falls down, and you can hear a couple of steps as he is coming down. So
Take
4
anyone
degrees
down
of
with
success.
him?
Maybe does he land on some guys down
Yeah.
at the
Are the
bottom?
he used them all for damage.
Slick
All
now?
right.
He used them all for damage.
Chokes on a river of his own blood.
Well, just for the sake of argument, knowing in the future, in situations like this, can we be like, I use a success to his blood makes the floor slick or something like that, just on principle?
If you can impress me narratively with your successes, I will always reward it.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
But if you're saying I want to burn damage, then I will let you burn the damage.
No, I
It's
wanted him
your
very
choice.
dead. I was making a statement, and I hope the other people with him saw.
Now
Very
the
loud
We have
statement.
2 active shooters, just 2, or we have a bunch of active shooters?
you have when I mean active shooters, I mean people who are shooting right now.
Right.
There's only people. These are the only people who have shown their face at the top of the steps already.
But there are still people down around the
Yeah.
floor, down at the atrium and the edges. There are
Absolutely.
other targets besides just these 2 on
Yes.
the stairs.
Okay.
They've come.
Who's next?
These are just the ones that you can see. The people are up next, Chateau.
49?
All right, so you basically are telling them all take cover
Right.
as they are running now, leaving how many of your force in the atrium?
I mean, if they're just getting cut down like grass, they're not helping anybody right here.
Well,
so.
they all have simple weapons, they're not shooting back.
Well, to what extent, like, because the one dude shot already, to what extent can we have them, like, charge and shank that guy?
To the extent of you tell them run forward and shank that guy.
Run
we
forward
want-
and shank that guy.
We want to lead more people up the stairs. We don't want to clog up that hallway with our own people.
It needs to be convincing, though. Like, we need to let them know we're fighting.
5,
Kill
4,
him.
3. All right, you watch as they run forward straight into it. You tell them, go, charge, take them down. And you watch as some of the men who had got knocked down more begin to replace as they look at them and they just, right, this guy had just shot him, but we're going to go from they can't get us all. They can't get us all as they move over the bodies of their fallen friends and family, and they just start to try to pull these guys up, just basically pull them up so they can just wail on them.
And recover his weapon.
Melee. Oh, even better. Yeah. So he can. That one's dead. He's on the staircase.
Right.
Roll a melee attack roll against the guys with the riot shields who are defending the staircase at the moment. Just roll it.
Oh, a different thing. Okay. They do poorly against the riot shields.
Okay,
They
so-
smash and bang against it. Oh,
With no avail.
right, but they're right.
Yeah, but
it is
they are
holding,
now
right.
pressed up against this rail, and now you actually have a small amalgamation of folk who are basically right now at the spiral staircase where the active shooter is. That being said, their weight of force numbers down a spiral staircase can be a little sticky. So let's make a push. Or a brawl check and see if everybody tumbles down the stairs.
Shield guy in, my guys.
I'll roll for shield and you roll for your guys.
Okay.
My guys don't hold their footing.
Well, they have 80, so
They also do not hold their footing. Basically, the zeal of these riotous force come down, and you hear everybody. They basically throw their weight against. They just leap onto these tower shields as they hop down, and everybody it starts tumbling down the stairs. They're all going to take some serious damage because this is an entire flight of stairs that they're tumbling down.
we have numbers on our side. So even if we fight at 1-to-1 ratios, we're not doing too bad.
We want to lead them in.
Yeah.
Sure, but it has to be convincing enough. Like if it's
yeah.
like, please don't come up with these stairs, they won't. No, we have to fight like lions.
Not like Borat.
In my dream, it was a little prettier, but it's okay.
I think we're way past pretty dreams.
No plan survives enemy engagement. 70.
That was also before they started chucking infected in the windows.
Yeah.
Right.
So Jenny, everybody has spilled down the spiral staircase into this atrium. It's your turn.
I want to take this opportunity while the shields are down
Yeah.
because they've just taken a tumble, and I want to aim at one of the shooters. So yes.
One of the shooters?
One of the shooters.
Okay.
Yes.
Go for it.
Okay, so I already have a 3 damage, so I'm gonna spend at least 2 successes. Yeah. Okay.
Exploding.
17 total damage.
17?
Yes.
That will critically injure him to where he is at least not going to be engaged in the fight anymore, if not dead. So,
Great. And then can I use my last success to just compose myself and start to aim elsewhere, or?
You could, I'll tell you what, if you want, you could save that over for another round.
Perfect.
All right? Ray.
Great. So Ray has rested up, Ray is healed, and she is back in the game.
Yes.
And Ray is excited to shoot things.
Who and where and how are
So
you shooting?
with the, because she's so keen and she's got her eyes back and she's everything, she can see that we have one pair completely shielded with the shooter behind it, right? But because he has heard all of the shooting, he has raised his shield up. But I see a tiny little window
Oh, from where
right
your purchase
underneath
is?
where I can actually sweep both their legs from my
see.
point of purchase.
He's lifted the shield up enough that from your position you might be able to get a shot off right below.
Right
Ooh, that's a
below.
tough shot, but you got 5 successes. So,
I mean,
you know.
so
So
I
I'll
would
tell you
like-
what, 1 success to call it,
Right?
and
Called
then
it.
you
And
can...
I'm going to take 2 extra damage.
Okay.
Just below, spraying below
Spraying below.
those 2 dudes.
Okay.
So I already have my 5, and I'm going to add 4 dice to that. 10 and 17.
17 will disable them.
+5.
Plus 5. Oh, sorry, 22.
That
Thank
will
you.
kill them.
That is the shield and the shooter?
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
because I
you
slid-
can't kill a man by shooting him in his leg, but you can definitely make sure he doesn't get back up again or doesn't
right,
want
right.
to do it.
You can roll. You can put him away.
Well, I
yeah.
also got
Yeah.
2 more success.
Yeah.
So now that they're down, can I just re-aim and go?
You
They're fucking
clever
down.
girl.
They are down. Don't mess
yeah,
with me.
no,
I got 2 eyes now, bitches.
if they've fallen from you just taking them down and you waited until they fell, take it, hit those last 2, or use those last 2 successes the way you want.
6 and 7, 13.
Yeah, so that they're definitely dead.
So, as she like, broom, broom, while I'm down, I just start yelling because there's other men down here that don't have guns, right?
Right. Yeah, there's other people who are with simple weapons, the same as your troop does.
Right.
Yes.
Kalarm doesn't care about your lives. He sent you in here to your deaths. Run, go home to your families. Save yourselves.
Persuade check.
I'm like, with advantage? That's not this game, I know. Right. Ooh. I'm very persuasive.
Yes,
It's
you are.
2 successes.
2 successes.
Maybe they want to believe me.
7 believe you.
Right. Do they bail?
Peace
They
out.
bail.
Yes.
Booyaka.
Talk therapy.
Exactly. Now the healing can begin.
You hear and see as they go out the back door, hoping that Kalarm does not see them leave.
They're not stupid. I know.
Also, if they're running out the back door, maybe they set off the tripwire that wasn't set off before.
We can let go, you monster.
No, they step over it.
Damn
I'm
it.
like, let them leave.
They may have walked through, but they
should be punished.
So, since I just looked at this number and just thinking about how long that took to get through that first round, let's shift gears.
Okay.
Let's try something new. I've never done this before, but I'm all for trying new things. All right? Instead of having this be out in a play-by-play, you've made your tactics, you know exactly what your intent is. Siege warfare is a laborious task. Nothing is done quickly, nothing is done well, usually. So let's treat this like a laborious task, this. And normally how we would do that is I would take the combined training values of everybody who's involved in the task. In this case, all of you would take your shooting or your weaponry, depending on what that is. And let's combine that all up into one number that is your training value for combat in Siege. Would you mind doing that for me all real quick?
Your training
7
value
and
is-
4.
is-
No, but
So
what's the
5.
other one?
Slashing 4.
So 5,
Okay.
7,
7.
4.
4,
6.
6,
5.
5,
8.
8. So a total combination of 35%. I'm also adding 5% for your mass. So you're looking at a total of 40 here.
Okay.
One roll
Each.
Total.
total
Oh.
because you're using all your combined values.
Boo.
So
That-
you're going to roll for us.
That will determine, I'll roll for you, that will determine how much time it takes to complete this siege.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay? So if I get 1 degree of success, it's gonna take 6 hours. If I get 2 degrees of success, I'll cut that in half to 3 hours. So on and so forth. If I get failures, this thing's gonna get protracted
Okay.
and longer.
Then
We're
why-
basing this off of your training and the training of your people versus Kalarm's foes and his troops. And you are looking at 125 versus his 69 at the moment. Technologically, you're about equally matched between his gunmen and you as a troop.
And we have heart.
And you have heart.
Yes.
And assassin.
And also assassins. And also heart.
All right. And this is the roll that determines how long it takes to finish the siege of Jenningsburg. All right?
Beautiful.
So once we know what it is, we can just narratively punch it in the face and decide exactly how this situation went down.
great spirits.
Guys,
Smiles
I really
on
like
us.
this team. I really like you. So glad we
Hey, it
met.
was your idea.
Yeah, well played.
Okay.
All right. So this will give you 25, 35. This will give you 2 degrees of success in this situation, which will reduce the time it took to make the siege happen at 6 hours, and it will reduce it to 3. But there was successes. Tell me something good that happened, Chato. One thing.
So, as we fall back and we're firing, and our soldiers are heartened by they see our weapons erupting and destroying these men that they thought were invincible, and they fight with renewed heart. But Kalarm's forces are equally enraged by us and come flooding up the stairs just in time to boop, boom.
The propane trap just detonates, and you hear the whole building rumble and shake. Actually, for a minute, you think the building is going to collapse, but more infected come. What happens, Band-Aid?
The infected are also trying to come up through the boarded up window and things like that. They're still trying to use the trebuchet on our side in
Yes.
the room that
Yeah.
we're all in. But they're coming up and they're hitting the boarded up section of the window.
Yeah.
And while they're stuck there, all of us with our tiny scalpels and knives are.
All
So
right.
we're preventing them from coming in, and we're killing them, and they're dropping down.
All right, fair enough.
Also, to piggyback off of that, Jenny shoots the people manning the trebuchet. She gets up in her little perch spot that overlooks outside, and she takes out those people. So they stop.
So you
firing.
basically unmanned the trebuchet.
Yes.
Okay, but something terrible happens, Ray. What happens?
As more people are flooding through the front door, I'm picking them off like, I can't believe how great this is. It's going, and then my gun jams. And so like a chunk of them get through before I can unjam it and start picking them off again.
And you
so
have to
now I'm
clear
shooting.
it.
I'm clearing it, and I'm shooting into the atrium after I clear it.
And unfortunately, Wraith,
So yeah,
can't just all be fun and games.
Yeah,
some,
yeah.
some of these troops get through, and you can see that one of them is being commanded. There's a guy in a red cloak who's picked up one of the red shields, and he motions them through. He motions them to get through. Come on, get up to the steps above. And they make it through, and they run into a group that is tired. They've been fighting, a group of our militia that's been fighting.
Yeah.
And they're tired, and they're having trouble, pushing them back, and they just start getting chopped down. And there's so many of them.
yeah.
But then the guy in the red cloak with the shield, who motioned them all in,
Yeah.
drops the shield, rips off the cloak, and it's Wraith. And he mows into the back line of the enemies, sword swinging, and just starts cutting them down left and right.
Holy shit. God love an assassin.
Yeah. And how does it all end, Pony? What moment does the siege end?
The miracle of the siege is when we realize that all of these tripwires that we've set off, that they've so meticulously avoided as they came in, now as they're beginning to stumble back and fall back, they're finally men who knock the tripwire at the back down. And as the debris that we've set begins to fall down on them, what's underneath our propane tank is beginning to destabilize as more has come down. And the back of the building just begins to tumble. It begins to tumble down. We've taken out more of their men. The fear of the whole thing is that now the ladder starts to become destabilized, and we have our
The ladder
men-
being the staircase.
I'm sorry, the spiral staircase.
Yes.
And here we are in our places of protection with the men who've made it, with our people who've made it.
Speed dice, please.
Men and women who are up there with us, and with this spiral staircase destabilized, we begin to worry that we won't be able to come down. And just as it starts to tip and to tilt, it falls against a stable piece of concrete, and we're able to flood down the stairs into the place and see the final pieces of Kalarm's men running.
And as all of you are making your final steps down into the staircase, you can feel as this thing is destabilizing, as is attempting to push itself out, to fall out into the back gardens. All of you come together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Jenny, you're the last one down, and you can start to feel as the spiraling staircase is starting to make its tumble, and as you're running down, you can feel it as it's starting to fall. Make a jump check and see if you can dive off of this thing and ensure that you are not crushed.
I mean, I have a 53.
Do you want to use the competence to reduce that?
Yes.
Okay. 5.
A nasty spill.
As this thing continues to just collapse and fall down. Jenny, you make as much of a jump for it as you possibly can, and you kind of get collapsed under this, but you manage to curl yourself into a way that you aren't pinned against the ground by this giant iron staircase as it plants itself into the garden, but you are trapped now in between where the stairwell in front of you and essentially the guardrail that's now acting as like a cage as you are buried underneath this thing. The bars are basically just bent in such a way that they would have to lift this whole thing up in order to just get you out. And it sounds like that's what you all wanted to do, was go get the men out.
Carefully, I mean, so that we don't destabilize it, like something worse happens.
all
We
of
got a
our
bunch of people
Right.
trying it, and I think as that's happening, at least one or two of us should be keeping an. I'm going to keep an eye on that door.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I
we
was gonna
still
say
have
I'll
eyes.
stand sentry. My strength is okay, but it's not.
So
Yeah, I'm gonna-
by the way, the back door is, so you all have to pile out of the building just to see where Jenny is.
And if
And
we're
when I
outside,
said the
that's where it's
foundation
been
was breaking, it tipped out
Oh.
and pinned her on the ground outside of the building. So she's laid out amongst the garden as this thing has fallen down upon her.
Then we should all probably maintain the firing line and let the troops dig her out. While
That's
we're
what you
all.
want.
But
That would be tactically sound, but
that's
I would.
not what we would be
I would
cool
go to
with
help her
doing. Like we'd
immediately.
be
I would-
running towards
So-
her.
You and I aren't super connected to Jenny. We can
We're-
hold
yeah,
that.
So
That's
Ray
fine.
and Wraith are just bolting out and putting their backs into this and are going to attempt to lift this thing up. You know what's up. It's a lift pull. I will roll for your group.
Yeah.
All right?
There should at least like 40 guys should still be alive. 40 people.
Yeah, they rolled a 97.
I
though.
rolled wash.
Competence?
Can I use competence to get more?
You can always get a degree of success with competence.
Great.
yes.
I'm going to take a degree of success.
1 degree of success, Wraith.
I have 3 degrees of failure.
Okay.
Wraith pulls hammy.
I'm
Wraith is
don't say
pushing.
that.
He's
Don't say that.
I'm just kidding, I'm
Don't
just
put me in
kidding.
that
I'm just
position.
kidding. I'm just kidding. Sorry.
Yeah,
You can
I'm just.
resolve your degrees of failure how you wish. But it's
Yeah.
3, so I need to hear some good stuff.
I'm straining, and I try to push my back underneath it. But then in doing so, I end up, because I'm pressing my back against it, the quiver that I had gets partially crushed
Yeah.
between my body and the
All the
thing.
arrows snap.
And well, I don't know how many were broken, but it's probably most of them.
How about this?
Your back is not broken.
9 of your arrows snap.
Okay.
All right. So as you're pressing your back up against it, you feel the arrows kind of snap as your quiver.
And I'm just
buckles.
straining like.
Right.
Yeah.
And then for your third one, I'm going to say that you're already strained, so adding a difficulty dice on the next one.
Okay.
For your third.
Meanwhile, I'm kind of, since it's tipped on a diagonal, I'm in the shorter part of it than him, doing the same thing, like underneath it, squatting below, and I managed to lift just far enough
Yeah.
that I know she can slide out under and just say, go, 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 go!
Yeah. So with that one pull, you're basically lifting it up, and you do.
But here.
Yeah,
like,
you're
I'm
here.
tiny.
Yes.
I'm lifting up from here,
It's
so I got
barely enough, Jenny. I want to lift
She's
pull.
pulling herself along.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
want
yeah.
to lift pull too
Lift
from you.
Okay.
I want to lift pull as well.
Oh, yeah!
I do. I just like
Oh, yeah.
Slithers right
All
out.
right.
She got a 5.
A 5.
Like a
Okay.
spider monkey.
So you basically just you cave crawl.
And you
right
find some
under this
arrows
thing.
on the ground.
And she fixes them. Poof, look at this. Everything's okay. And as she slides out, as I pull back, I grab him and pull him back too, so neither one of us get crushed.
Okay, so you all just throw yourself onto the grass, huffing and panting and huffing, and the three of you start to look at the government building, and you can see the wall that had been ripped out from this spiral staircase being pulled down, and you actually see as a couple of the columns that were in the back have been completely cut in half, and you watch as like stone and plaster are just kind of tumbling down in pieces, and you see the back of the building start to shudder ever so lightly.
I very quickly scoop her up and I say to all of you, Kalarm is not defeated.
What me and the volunteer medical staff are doing, we're going around and checking to see who's still breathing, still alive,
When you start to
and
feel
injured.
the body
So, and
shake.
an important point too is
Yeah.
that if there are enemy forces that are still moving, we're
Yeah.
finishing them off.
Got it.
But as soon as I notice that type of thing happening, I'm just like, let's get out, let's get out, let's get out.
Yeah.
As soon as I see it wobble, I see them, we're booking it out there.
Booking it out where? Front
To
or
the
back?
back.
To the back.
To be with them.
Yes.
Away from death.
That's what I
Away
need
from
clarity for.
Yes, yes, yes.
Not towards the front where potentially Clarm's forces are, to the back to where the team is.
Yes.
Right, great. So you grab your team, you basically lift up your little volunteer cadre, and you grab what you can, and you just start running for this thing.
And you still have the extra. Someone has the extra gun that we grabbed off the shooter.
Yeah, I mean, lots of people have dropped guns at this point.
That's what I was
Yeah.
gonna say. Is I want to.
Yeah.
Scooping guns.
Yeah.
Well,
Scooping guns and running.
as you're scooping, you're watching as this thing, the whole back starts to run, and Bandit and his volunteer group, as well as the last bit of the militia that can come out, they start watching as this thing starts to tumble, and the back of the government building just and you watch as the dome, the giant circular dome that is on top, you watch as the back of it, but also the bottom of it, starts to crack and tumble as like a Liberty Bell, a giant crack comes up the top of it as it landslides. Just all of the rock just starts falling down the back of this building as it whooshes right towards you. And I need you all to make a dodge check.
We beat feet. Yeah.
Everybody.
Which dodge? Where the hell's my dodge?
Okay.
Fuck.
35. All right. Let's start over here. Pony.
With my 1 degree of success,
Yes.
I feel the ground begin to tremble, and every instinct that I have of knowing the earth and how it behaves, I don't run directly away. I run off to the side. There's as this hill slopes softly toward the trees. I run off to the side, and as I do, I can see over my shoulder the rocks coming down and sliding away from the direction I'm running.
Okay, so you cut a direct angle away from it in order to deftly escape. So,
Wraith starts running. He's a little bit behind the rest of everybody else, but there are other folks around him, other militia people. He looks back over his shoulder to see if there's any pursuit, and this rubble is sliding off the top of the building, and he sees a piece tumbling down, and it looks like it's totally going to hit this militia lady,
Yeah.
and so he just tackles her to roll her out of the way, and both of them roll on the ground.
all right. So, and you completely avoid it. How many degrees of success?
Well, that's actually 2 degrees of failure.
2 degrees of failure.
Yeah.
Okay, so you managed to deftly dodge and get this woman out of the way and push yourself out, but you will take a little bit of the damage yourself as the rock hits you. 4 superficial.
That's a 3 and a 1.
Yeah, 3 and a 1. Ray.
I'm booking it and trying to make sure that everyone is okay. And as I see Wraith diving for this chick, I see Jenny start to trip and stumble over her. She's still a little bit rattled from her being under the stairs. And I turn around and I hook her arm just to get her back on her footing so that she can keep running. So I'm a little bit slower than I was, and I'm not getting hit by anything, but I'm getting her up and slightly more out of harm's way.
1 gone.
And now all my competition.
I'm also going to narrate some of my stuff for her if you want to resolve her last. Sorry, go ahead.
No, if you want to pick up next, if this is important for you, how you want to narrate it, then by
It
all
is.
means.
So, again, I also have 3 degrees of failure. So this thing is all coming around because I was trying to wait to see if everybody got out of the building.
Yeah.
And I'm going to spend my 2 competence to get me down to just 1.
Got it.
Because I haven't spent any yet. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of like, oh, this is all going wrong. And I see this entire thing, and I basically throw myself in front of her. So whatever was going to hit her would hit me instead.
All right, well, it's going to hit you, and it looks like it might hit her too, but let's hear Band-Aid.
I was behind the group a little bit, and so I didn't really notice what was happening, but everybody started running. And so
Yes.
my panic instincts kick in, and I just start booking it. And so eventually, I'm catching up to the rest of the group. The rubble is falling behind me, so I've successfully kind of made it past the threshold of this like avalanche. But I'm also going to spend 2 competency points because I see Jenny and Ray struggling.
Got
So
it.
I'm coming up behind them and kind of just pushing, and so we're pushing together, leaving Chata behind.
So that'll,
takes-
if you want to
that
take,
takes
that'll
2 of
remove
hers
her
off.
too.
Yeah, she's down to 1. Okay.
Which will leave both you and Chato. God, everyone just is pouring it in for you. It's
Why are you guys doing this?
they're all burning all of their competence to make sure that you are not going to get barreled by these rocks. And as a result, you have several people who are basically holding on to you, covering you with their body, making sure that any amount of the large crack in stone isn't going to hit your frame. It's instead going to barrel down upon them.